Hey everybody, welcome to Hire Lead Chill, and it's a little bit special edition of Hire Lead Chill because it's not really Hire Lead Chill today. We've got somebody that reached out to me, Sharon Tinberg, a really good friend of mine. I've known Sharon for years, and we thought we'd get a platform together of a couple people that Sharon has had under her wing a little bit and has done some phenomenal things with. And I've got them on today, and I've got Sharon on today. We're just going to dive right into it. What we're talking about today is how better hiring and training lead to longer employee retention and more repeat clients. And I think the longer employee retention probably is common sense, but the more repeat clients part of that, which is Sharon's wheelhouse with training, is really interesting to me. So we'll dive into this. Let me do this. Okay, so how about if we get into just very quickly and very briefly, Sharon, you see a lot of owners struggling with this, obviously, right? Why is training usually the weak link in all of this?
I think it's where it starts. And James is a perfect example of that. When you start a cleaning service, you don't have deep pockets and a lot of people. So you wing your training because you don't have anything else to do. So you might not even know how to clean a house yourself. I remember going to a client in Colorado who didn't have a clue how to clean a house. And I taught her my system. She didn't have to clean. She just needed to know how to train somebody else to do that. And she said I emancipated her because now she was free to fire somebody because she was afraid to fire anybody because how is she going to train the next one? You know, she bought a service, had a few cleaners there. So I think that's the problem. And I don't think they ever take the step. The first big step they take when they have some money and they know they're going to be a business is get some software and figure out how to market and get those clients in the door because I got a cleaner now. Well, you know, if you don't know how to work with that cleaner and they get a couple of complaints because they haven't trained them right, now you lose that cleaner. So I think it all starts in the beginning, and that paradigm shift never happens to, hey, I'm a big company now and I need to get myself trainers and operations managers and stop worrying about the admin side and give some more attention to the field side. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. I see that in a lot of different industries that we recruit in and that I do some consulting in, where it's as entrepreneurs we love to talk about revenue. We love to talk about how many trucks we have on the road, or how much we're bringing in on a monthly recurring basis, and all those sort of things. That's sort. You got to have that ego a little bit to even dive into business. But the thing that is missing the mark for most small businesses is that employee side. It really is. And I don't know of anybody that goes into business going, I can't wait to recruit and have a bunch of no-shows. Man, I can't wait for that to happen, right? And so I think it gets avoided a little bit, and it's not something they're passionate about a lot. So let's bring in Sharon. Let's bring in James and Ronnie for sure. And let's kind of start out real quick like this. James, I'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit about you and your business, and then Ronnie, you, and then we'll go from there.
My business started as a student company, basically going through university. I did that, all through university. Then afterwards, it's the early 90s. I started this in 87, so 39 years ago. And when I got out, I just realized I'm making a lot more money than what anyone could hire me for. And I was working, just during the summer. Now, once you turn it into like a full business, but with window cleaning in here in Canada, it runs from April until, November, sort of December. When you run out of your house, you kind of hemorrhage money. And when I decided, when you run out of your house, you're making money. Everything is great. When you buy an office and you decide that, hey, you want to start expanding, then you realize that between Christmas and spring, you're hemorrhaging money, which is why I started the home cleaning business in 2022. So, that being said, I researched how to run the business, and I started that in 2015. So I was like a solid almost 7 years before someone just sat me down and said, it's time. You got to start it.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, so I mean, I've gone through several different training programs, but my home cleaning business has been since 2022,
Okay.
and the window cleaning division is very established. So that's what affords everything else right
Excellent.
now.
Excellent. And Ronnie, how about you?
Yeah, so I started Company Clean same time as James, actually, 2026 or 2022. So we've been at it for about 4 years now. I have a background in IT. That's what I've done my entire life for the past 20 years was operations, systems, just Windows, Azure, AWS, all the good IT cloud stuff. But I was like, I've always wanted to start a business. So I started this on the side, kind of worked through it for a while, and I did not have a training system. I have ADHD very bad, so I can't clean homes because whenever I start on one task on the baseboards, I'll see a little dust mote somewhere else, or I'll find a toy on the ground for my kid and be like, well, that goes in this room, and it destroys it. So that's whenever I started kind of looking around to a lot of other cleaners that were where I want to be, because we're still small and I want to be up there at the top echelons with some of my mentors and everything, and heard about Sharon and then contacted her in regards to the cleaning systems.
Excellent. Excellent. System. So I appreciate you guys coming on. One of the things I talked to Sharon about was we recruit for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different companies around the country, and I've been able to survey a lot of candidates around the country and in North America. And one of the things that we found in surveying relates to this and what the four of us are trying to talk about here, and that is this. In that first 30 days of hiring, the number one thing that a new employee wants more than anything else is confidence in doing their job. And man, does this hit home with what we're talking about today. So let me ask both James and Ronnie, and then I'll let Sharon hop in with some things. Before you guys had a training approach and kind of knew what you were doing and that sort of thing, what did your onboarding look like, and how much of a nightmare was it to try to deal with it? How about Ronnie first?
Yeah, I just circumvented the whole thing and went 1099. I just hired subcontractors to do the work instead because I didn't have those systems in place. I wasn't ready for it. And I knew, much like what you were talking about, if I don't have these systems, I don't look professional, no one's going to want to come and join Company Clean, right? So during 2025, like the first half of it, that's whenever I went really hard into getting the programs, getting the systems, getting the training. That way, whenever we did start bringing on W-2s, like as the primary business model, we were ready for it. And we did that starting on the later half of 2025. And then whenever people joined us, they're like, wow, you guys really have it together. You have all your documentation and Confluence. Like I can see everything that I am expected to do, my numbers, how fast should I be cleaning, what should I be cleaning, the checklist. And then we have an extensive training program based off of what Sharon does that's for 3 weeks, and that people really start to, by the first week, they really understand like what they need to be cleaning. But then what I've come to the conclusion for the additional 2 weeks we really need are for culture.
Nice.
So they meet the other cleaners, they become friends with them. They really just see like how we work, like within just like chat, talking with me and everything. And then after those 3 weeks, they're ready to go solo on their own.
I love the culture part of that, and that's so important, especially with retention. James, you've been doing this for a long time. I can only imagine back 30 years ago or so what that training looked like, buddy. And we didn't have the technology back then and things that we do now that make it a little bit easier. But try to consolidate 30 some years of business and what it looked like back in the day, sort of, and how it's evolved into where you're at today and how it's working out for you.
Well, back in the day, I was doing a lot of work myself. So I was just looking for someone, in the car beside me to, basically, pick up the reins and just, do it. I would teach them how to clean windows. I would, teach them, I teach them a lot of things, but we went through, I've gone through so many different sort of pay schemes.
Yeah.
When it comes to window cleaning, I'm good, and so I can clean a house, a 2-story house, all the way outside windows in, less than half an hour. Where you send someone to do that house, they can spend 2-3 hours. So unless there's some sort of incentive for them, to do it faster, so you have to have an incentive program that allows them to make money if they're productive and there's no callbacks and everything else. Um, with and I've since I've worked out a model that they get a bonus structure. There's a minimum pay that they'll make, but no one wants to make that minimum pay. They want to make the big money, and so they're incentivized to make that big money. If they're not making the big money, then I just get rid of them, because obviously that's not in their game plan, and the game plan only works if they're making money. The same thing is true with the home cleaners. We do the same sort of thing. We pay them for the budgeted hour, and then they have to. I mean, if they're making the minimum all the time, then they're not really keeping up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's true. The onboarding process is so important, so that they know that they're a company that has a real system in place. So they know exactly what they're expected of them, know exactly what they're supposed to clean, what is outside of that window, and what's inside, and they're rewarded for staying on track. So I think just having a good model in place, it's like you said, it gives them confidence.
Yeah, it's that you said the magic word. I think the biggest word I got from you was what to expect, the expectations. If there's not clear expectations, there's chaos. You can't have both. You can't have both clarity and expectations and chaos. Those two are the opposite, right? So I love that that expectation piece of it. And the one thing, and I'll segue into Sharon here in a couple seconds. The one thing that I know from the window cleaning outfit of it, in residential versus the residential interior cleaning, is the outside stuff seemed quite a bit more transactional. So it's not like you're in Mrs. Jones's bedroom or near her medicine cabinet, or seeing pictures inside of their children's bedroom and things like that. It's so much more intimate and such a bigger relationship, I think. And maybe it was not as much today, but I still think it is. And that training in window cleaning, you touch about 10 things. When you're inside somebody's house, you're touching thousands of things, hundreds of things, and there's got to be some really intense training, in my view. And Sharon, you've been doing this training thing for so long. And when I had my cleaning company back in the day, and you were the first one I went to for all of our training, and we bought aprons from you and all that stuff, and and the things that we implemented were basically, my foundation was from Sharon Tinberg and doing the things that she had laid out for the industry decades ago. So Sharon, I'll let you kind of ask a few questions, take over from here, and pound home to the folks watching this thing, what you got to be doing and what you got to be thinking about.
So I was thinking about, you were one of my very first core DVD purchasers, and what you said was the thing you want people to know was to start it early, because you had about 15 cleaners when you got it, and you had to convert all of them, and that's a task because they all know how to clean. They don't need your help, so it's really a tough task. But you did grow fast, and you sold your company for a lot of money. So I would like to say, here's my testimony of whether or not it pays to use my system, because he was a shaker in our day. And you're right, you were my biggest advocate. So anyway, let me get back to the confidence thing. I do think confidence is key in being good at anything you do. If you're confident, you're going to be good at it. So both of you, I would like to ask you, first of all, tell us how many cleaners you have. And then tell me what changed, or did anything change when you first started? I know both of you weren't using my system, or a process and driven system, something that's very, very systematic, like what Sean is talking about. And in my opinion, it's no different than window cleaning, by the way, Sean. Doesn't matter if you have 10 things or 1,000 things. If you're following a system, nothing should be overwhelming, okay? Because it's the same thing. Who cares if there's more? You follow it. So, James and Ronnie, is there a difference in confidence level, and can you tell from when you didn't have a system you were training with, you were kind of winging it, like maybe contract labor, versus now where you're trying, James, to follow that very structured system? And let's start with James.
100%. I mean, you know, it's when a cleaner, you know, starts up and you say this, you give them all the tools, you know, you can give them a complete run through of what solutions are using, all the tools, you have a system, and they just, yeah, there's an enormous amount of confidence that I feel, and you exude that onto the cleaner, that they know that, you know, there's guidelines, there's, like, you know, there's guardrails, and they just have to stay within that. So it says a lot. I mean, yeah, when we started out, it was basically, oh, you know how to clean. Well, that's great. And we'd be asking them, how do you clean? And it's like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Well, then, you know, those cleaners never work out because they feel like they're coming in at a higher level and they can tell you what to do. You know, it's a completely different relationship.
I agree with that. Interesting statement, though. I might have to go back and put that in my book. Confidence starts with the owner. Right. So if you know what you're doing, they're gonna believe you, because it's like when I go out and train. It was easier for me to do it in the field than the owner, because I came in with these DVDs and I created the DVDs and my picture was on the back of the DVDs. You know, I was probably a much worse cleaner than the owner themselves because they cleaned. I never cleaned. But the confidence thing. So if you're exuding confidence to them, they probably go, oh, this is a good system. I'm going to learn it. And so very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, Ronnie.
Yeah, what I would say that having a training system helped lead us to is kind of like what James was saying, to where once we started rolling away from 1099s is I explicitly did not hire people with experience, right? Because I understand that those old mindsets can be difficult to change. And what I like to do, and this is how I even hired back whenever I did it in software and in IT, is I want to hire on personality. Like, do you seem trainable? Do you seem like you can come in and accept what we're doing and follow our systems? Because if you can, we'll hire you. Because, like, I can teach someone to clean, I can teach someone to do great IT work, but I can't teach you to be a good person, right? And being able to hire like that is how any business grows. It's not just off a skill set. Because if you have someone that's like the best cleaner, right? If they have a really terrible attitude and it's toxic, it doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere. You're losing customers, you're losing cleaners, probably going to lose hair over this asshole cleaner that you have. So being able to hire the person that you want is great because you have the systems behind it.
Attitude first. Okay, Sean, it's more fun to sit back and listen to you. So I give it back to you.
I just want to underscore everything that you guys are talking about. One of the things with Hired Lead Chill, when we screen people, and Sharon, you've used us, I just care about your attitude and behaviors. That's all I care about. And if it matches my core value with my company and our culture, come on in. I can train anybody pretty much that has a really good attitude, that has the right behaviors. I can train them to do. McDonald's has young teenagers working for them, and they are a bazillion-dollar company because nobody does systems and processes better than McDonald's, okay? You don't look any further than that to understand systems and processes matter. Little Jimmy at 16 years old does not determine when the French fries are done. Okay, a buzzer goes off and Jimmy's standing there. When that buzzer goes off, he picks the fries up and gets them out. That's why McDonald's, and it takes me to consistency. Training and consistency need to go hand in hand, because I learned years ago that, in the home cleaning space, consistency is everything. And even when you have employees that have good intentions that go out and say, yeah, I'll clean your grill for you, or I'll go pull up your mailbox and wipe it down for you. So those are real good intended things. But when she goes away and Janie comes to clean for you and does it the way she's supposed to, that client's going, what happened to my grill? What happened to my, so consistency. McDonald's is not the best hamburger Big Mac in the world. They sell millions and billions of them. It's something crazy. I don't know, like 7,000 a second or something crazy. Literally. Is it the best tasting one? Nope. Must be the healthiest one. Nope.
But they have the best French fries. They absolutely have the best French fries.
It's not the cheapest one. You know why they sell it? Because it looks the same, tastes the same, smells the same every single time we go get it. It's consistency, and we love consistency. So I'd love to know and that was a very difficult thing for me. I mean, when I introduced the aprons, you would have thought that I told them they were getting $5 an hour less, to work for me. And how I want to hear from James and Ronnie, like those changes, when you made the changes that you knew were necessary. And the folks that we hire, I love the folks that we hire, but they still change, even for the better. Even when it's going to help make their lives easier, they resist it a lot of times. So, James, tell me how, maybe in the past that's happened, and how did you get that? How do you get the consistency in your training?
Ultimately, it's just letting them know exactly, what we do and what they're not supposed to do. And just, like they have a list, and this you're just following this list. And like you said, it's about building culture. I mean, right now, we have a whole reward system where they build points. And the point system is basically designed to give them extra points if they never call in sick. Well, sick you can't really help, but they don't say, they give you short-term notice for for not showing up. I can't show up on Tuesday, right? Well, that's negative points. If you're going to help fill in a shift, you get extra points. So a lot of the point system is basically designed around consistency. Consistency for the customer, and consistency for the customer, is what builds a customer base. And so you have a whole reward system that's based on, good behavior. It's good on it helps to build company culture. If they do a social media post, or if they get good reviews, they get extra points. And then you announce and shout them out, every week, and everybody can see who's at what point level. And you pay them extra for being consistent.
Yeah.
But also it's like it just builds company culture. Like Ronnie was saying, a company culture is so important. You want to show up to a place that you really like being at. People will work, tirelessly for a company that they really, really like and enjoy. They respect you, you respect them. So,
Ronnie, what about you? Because you've got a pretty unique business model in the way that you have your payment set up for your clients. So you're really on the spot to make sure you deliver, right? You get prepaid and you need to deliver when you get we all do, right? But there seems to me an extra little bit of, I better make sure we're taking care of these folks that are paying us in advance for cleaning. So talk a little bit about, you might disagree with anything I'm saying too. And I love disagreement. Maybe consistency isn't that important. I don't know. I'd love to hear, how do you make sure they're consistent when you're not able to be there at the house every single time somebody cleans?
The big piece through that is our CRM and our customer service, our follow-ups. Whenever a cleaning is completed, they automatically get a text message of like, how good was the service on a scale of like 1 to 5. If they're not getting the 5s, then they don't get their performance pay, right? That's the agreement that we have, is like, if you're not getting the 5s, well, you're back down to your hourly rate. So that gives them that incentive to make sure that they are happy. And then again, it's on our customer service to where we call like after basically every single cleaning. because people will say, "Oh, that's not scalable." Well, it might not be scalable, but it's not a problem right now, and it works really well. So we call, we get feedback, make sure things are going well, because if they're not, we do have our company clean guarantee, like many other house cleaners, to where if you're not satisfied, we'll come back out within 48 hours and fix those issues. And that's why, like, if you go and look up company clean on Google, as of today, we have like 188 5-star reviews, and only 5-star reviews, because we do not let anything less than 5-star service happen at this company.
Nice, nice. So I think we touched a lot on the attrition of employees and employee retention, and obviously, you guys both talked about, James, you mentioned people want to work at world-class places, right? You want to wake up in the morning and love to come to work. You don't want to go, oh geez, Janie and Susie are there. I love cleaning houses, but I can't deal with those two again. That's culture, right? We want to make sure that everybody's fitting the culture. I want to turn it real quick because we're getting a little bit out of time, but we really haven't touched a lot. And Sharon, this is your wheelhouse, so I'd like you to really dive into this a little bit for me. If you have people going out and doing a shitty job, how hard is it to go get a referral from Mrs. Smith? Hey, tell your neighbors all about us while her toilets look, like they haven't been cleaned. How it is so easy to get customer referrals, and it's the cheapest way the least expensive way to get new clients is through customer referrals. You've been really good at helping other companies, including ones that you've owned, grow phenomenally fast, based almost solely on customer referrals. And you can't have that happen if people are doing shitty work for you. Talk like in real life what that looked like for you and clients you've coached. How does that compound, and how quick is it to grow compared to, I need to spend another $5,000 this month on Google ads, I need to spend it on Facebook, I need to spend it on this. How do it's two whole completely different ways to grow a business.
Well, I want to clarify the referral thing. You don't get very many referrals in this business. If you mean somebody's going to call up and say, so-and-so told me to call you, you'll go broke trying to wait on those. Yep. When I talk referrals, I talk networking. And not to badmouth anybody or any organization or anything like that, but I oftentimes think that people who are stuck at 2 or 3 million and have spent probably $40,000 a year before going to conventions and speakers and offices would be better off if they spent that $40,000 in their community, giving to nonprofits and getting their name known, because I sometimes think I was as big as I was because I wasn't doing any of this. Sorry, Ronnie and James. But it's true. So that's to me what networking is. But I'm going to add one thing to that. So when I taught this to somebody a long time ago, who's now a multi-million dollar company, she loved it, got all gussied up. This is the stories in my book. She got all gussied up, went to the chamber meeting. By God, she landed 2 repeats after the first meeting. She was like, this is amazing. So she bought a new outfit, sponsored again. So she did speak again. Second meeting, she lands 2 more. In the second month, the complaints start rolling in the door. And now she goes to the 3rd meeting, and she's supposed to introduce, they go around the room introducing yourself. And she always said, oh, we're the best in town. And she's like, I can't get up and say we're the best in town when 4 people sitting in the room think I'm the worst thing that ever walked. And she stopped networking and fixed her cleaning and used our system and got it put together. And now my God, she's chamber person of the year. But you can't get out there and network until you know your cleaning is good, because it's like a megaphone. If you're good at networking, then you've not told one person you're lousy. You've told the whole community you're lousy because you're good at what you do. So I'm saying you got to be good at what you do. You've got to start with that. And so I want to come back to one last question and parlay off of the attitude thing again and what you said. So James and Ronnie both. Can you hire for attitude if you don't have a very defined training system?
No, because then they're going to be at a loss, kind of like what Sean was saying. It'll come back to that inconsistency of, like, you'll have cleaners out there cleaning stuff that they shouldn't be, right? Like, again, the grills, the mailbox, all of those kind of things. If you don't have the training system, they're going to be at a loss, and you're never going to have the same type of cleaning. The big thing is that, like we do over here at Company Clean, is we don't actually guarantee that you're going to get the same cleaner unless you're on specific packages with us. And the way that we kind of like is we'll get that objection right on the phone of like, wait, we're not going to have the same cleaner. We say, we've got the systems, we've got the training. What you get with one team member, you're going to get with our other one. You're always going to have that Company Clean satisfaction. And if we don't have the systems, like through the Clean Smart Academy and everything, it's not going to happen like that.
James, you did it both ways now. So you're pretty new to Clean Smart. So what do you think?
I mean, 100% in the interview process, when we're asking them questions, we definitely are hiring for a certain personality. You know, they have to meet a certain DISC personality is what we're aiming for. But you know, once they get hired, you have to have a rock solid, you know, system that they can follow. And then it's easy for them to understand this is how I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. And, you know, I like Ronnie, you know, we like to having the same cleaner in the house every time. But I've gone into a few homes in the last little bit, and I've realized that cleaner has figured out what the customer notices and what they don't notice, and they skip over a whole bunch of stuff. So bringing in another cleaner, you start identifying, you know, where you're falling down. So having a like a really good system that they follow, and they just know they have to follow, you know, that really sets you up for success.
Love it. I think the cleaning industry is, I'm so passionate about it and been doing it for quite a while, but it's, you know, we don't have a widget that we're selling, right? The closest thing to your client is the people you're hiring and training to do the job for you. And which is maybe a little easier when you're in an office building and you can walk around a little bit and see what they're doing on a phone or on a computer and that type of thing, but you can't be at every single cleaning. So it's it's so important to make sure that the core values and the culture have to do with, we follow systems here. That's part of what we do, whether that's your, you know, tangled into your core values or your culture or both. But it's also, you know, doing the right things when nobody's around. You know, that sort of thing has to be somewhere, I think, in your culture and your core values, somewhere in there, it's got to be underscored. I always think of like car dealerships. If I go look for a brand new Ford pickup truck, you know, an F-150, that F-150 ain't different over down the road at the other guy's place. Who's got the best reputation? Who's got the best service? Who might throw in some oil change for me or something like that? Who puts me to James? Who puts me on a maintenance program that I don't have to think about it? And to Ronnie, who's got the CRM that's going to automatically do that so you don't even have to think about it, right? All those things that that's what makes you different than the ABC cleaning down the road. And as far as the recruiting end and the people end of this, and that's what all of us are talking about today, and that's what certainly Sharon and I, you know, that's our livelihood is just being hyper focused on the employee side of things, is that if you get that part of your business right, we're going to put divorce lawyers out of business. Okay. You're going to be a better husband, a better wife, a better father, a better mother. If I lose 3 clients, recurring clients, I assure you, my wife and I are still going to go out and have a nice dinner. I don't like it, but it's going to get replaced pretty quickly, and I'll move right on, and my bills are paid. Everything's fine. If I've got 10 employees and I lose 3 of them tomorrow, and this happens consistently and month after month, I'm staring at the ceiling. I'm not listening to my wife when we're having a conversation, and things are going to really tumble out of control. I'm telling you, folks, if you need to solve the employee side of your business in order to grow with peace. Okay. And I know it's not always fun doing systems and training and all that type of thing. I know it's not always fun where it's too corporate to think about what culture means or core values means. All of it is so that your employee wakes up every morning and wants to come to work for you because they know what is expected. James mentioned it, those expectations. Ronnie's mentioned the systems, and it's all been, you know, echoed through Sharon for years and years and years and years. And I just for the life of me, anybody listening to this, reach out to Sharon, and I'm sure James and Ronnie, if somebody reached out to you guys somehow on social media or whatever, just talk to people that get it, that understand it, that are growing, that we haven't really mentioned a damn thing about how much revenue and how many people are out there making you tons of money and all that type of thing. It's just, how can we make it so that this is a world-class place to work? Because I know if I can get 25 or 30 employees or 50 employees or more that are doing the right things at the right time with the right people for the right reasons, okay, every freaking thing else is going to fall into place. I don't have to worry about my attrition. And Sharon, before we wrap up, this will be the last thing and then we're done, because I'll talk forever, and I promised you guys I wouldn't. One of the things I want to talk about is that attrition. There seems to be a point where people move. You're going to lose customers, and it's not, things happen that aren't your fault where customers are going to go away. Somebody's job fell apart. They can't pay you anymore. Their niece decided they want to clean, so they're going. Things happen. So we haven't really talked about the importance of this training and employee side. Just give me a summary, sort of how important it is, because you're never going to grow out of a certain purgatory of growth. You're going to be stuck in this purgatory just because of natural attrition issues with clients. What is that point nowadays? We used to say it was revenue, and maybe there isn't a point anymore, but talk just a little bit about how important that attrition is. And it's mostly training that's going to solve that attrition problem with your clients.
That's kind of a broad question.
Well,
of course you can't scale if you attrit. So, I mean, it's all about scaling right now, 10 times, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, yeah, I think scaling is very important. I mean, otherwise you don't get to the level you're talking about where you can still go out to dinner, because if you haven't scaled, you can still go out to dinner. And I think scaling is all about training. It's all about repeating. It's about being repeatable, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. The right thing over and over, of course. I mean, maybe you can do the wrong thing too, as long as your name is out there. But the right thing over and over again. It's got to be repeatable. If it's not, you won't get repeat clients. And I did do a little video on this yesterday about the fact that, because I started a cleaning service, some of you know, and I did get a compliment from my software company about how good we're doing. And I'm thinking, we got 15 cotton picking repeat clients. What do you mean we're doing good? But I didn't stop to think we are scaling well, because all we take is repeat clients. So think about it. If you want $100,000 a year income, you need to clean 200 houses at $500 a house. But you need to sell 200 clients. You need to onboard 200 clients. You need to get used to that house, and then you're done. Or you need to sell 48 repeat clients at the beginning of the year. And even with prorating, you'll have 99,000 at the end of the year. When you wake up in 2027, if you've done it all in one time, where's your scaling? Zero. You wake up with zero revenue. If you've sold those 48 clients, when you wake up on 2027, you already know you have 99,000. Well, more, you actually have $188,000 in the bank, because you don't have to prorate those clients. They're with you all year. So I'm telling you right now, if you can't get repeat clients, you can't scale.
Yep.
I mean, you don't want to sell next year I'm going to sell 200 repeats. I mean, one times. Won't that be fun? You'll shoot yourself by the third year. You'll be a statistic in the paper. I mean, you can't do this. You just can't. And you can't keep repeat clients if you don't repeat consistently 5-star perfect cleanings, because they're paying a lot of money. Stop thinking that this is a small amount of money. I mean, if they're with you for 10 years, they've given you $100,000, or, well, not maybe 20 years, $100,000. That's a house in some places. They might as well just let it get dirty and buy a new house. So stop thinking of this as a little purchase. It's a huge purchase, and give them what they paid for, and stop trying to cut corners. And I'm not going to ever wet wipe their baseboards unless they pay for it again. Think about that twice. Do you really want to kick all that money out the window? So, I mean, really make it repeatable and do it every single time, or you can't scale.
That's
period.
It. repeatable, repeatable, repeatable. Remember that. I love that. And it's true. Repeatable with processes, systems. And a lot of times we get distracted by shiny objects that are coming out and out there, and we want to follow the rest of the tribe on social media and go buy a bunch of shiny object stuff. Repeat the right things at the right time for the right reasons with the right people, and you're done. It's go time. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because I'll talk forever, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer than I have already. So I want to, Sharon, thanks for collaborating on this with me and taking this and just talking about it and getting it out there, and keep doing what you do and helping people, and I appreciate it. Ronnie, really good to meet you. James, I've known you for a couple of years now. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're one of those guys that just keeps going after it. Super hard worker. And that's it, guys. Reach out to Sharon. Let me put her, what is it? Clean Smart
Academy.
CleanSmartAcademy.com.
Thank you, Ronnie, and thank you, James, for your time, truly. And I'll be touching bases with both of you this week. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.